I'm pressing the button now.
What do you want me to do?
That's a great
Oh
introduction.
God.
All right, guys. That
All
starts
right.
that starts the intro to Git Good, where we obviously talk about getting good at hosting a show. Just kidding. We're talking about Final Fantasy 14. And tonight we have your host, Commander Kane, and myself, Bellator Lucis, and we are going to be interviewing members of Secret Oatmeal. You guys introduce yourselves.
I'm T. What's up?
Yeah, I'm David.
I'm Eva.
You guys sound so excited. We are excited.
I'm so excited. You don't even know right now.
That's his excited voice. I mean, all right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you
we're
guys for coming out tonight. Thank you for putting aside the time to speak with us and letting us interview you, ask you a couple of questions. Actually, a lot of questions. You might have, we gave you the list. Um, you didn't tell us there was stuff we didn't want to talk about, so we're gonna be hitting you hard, I think. Um, and just a really quick overview of what we're gonna do. We kind of want to do a shout out to CyberPower PC's interview on you, the blog that was already done. That was a
Oh
really
yeah.
great one. You guys, awesome
Shout out to
questions.
Gino.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. And we're doing that because we want to try to ask different questions. There's going to be some natural overlap, but we want to ask you the questions that weren't asked then, and we want to talk about things that are, just new stuff. So, anything you want to add to that, Kane?
No, not really. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that. We're just trying to avoid asking questions that we don't need to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you introduce yourselves. If people want to get a background, really good information about each player's background on what they did with the rating scene and how they started playing, how they play with their friends, stuff like that. That interview is a really good read. And with that said, let's get started before some of our first questions. Let's dive right into it. And I will pass the mic to you, Kane, and you can get started with the first set.
All right. So, what kind of changes do you guys want to see in 3.4, and what should stay the same in your guys' opinions?
Like in terms of rating or in general.
Correct.
Um, for 3.4, I mean, I like the difficulty that it had right now. I hope they don't make it too easy, but then again, I guess Square doesn't really know how to balance sometimes, so maybe it'll end up being the perfect difficulty.
Insulting Square.
But otherwise, things have been pretty good. I think that they're improving a lot of stuff, so
Okay.
it looks promising.
Good. Good. Now, I did hear a few things about SE wanting to drop the difficulty for the new 3.4 patches. Raid-wise, anyways, SE wasn't happy with the difficulty level. It was too hard for the vast majority of players.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know exactly how they're going to nerf it, but I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to and what they're going to be doing.
They're probably going to be doing stuff like making mechanics more forgiving, in my opinion, because most of the stuff that's considered hard, I would say it's because if you get it wrong, then most likely you're going to die. And when you die, you're not going to recover as well from it. So
they're like
that's
all
what
insta-wipe mechanics right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I get that, and I want to chime in because I really didn't like that. I think some of the best fights are the most memorable ones are the ones where someone screwed up and you recover and you clear anyways.
Yeah, I've it's pretty satisfying, but it's definitely in general the fight design makes it really hard to
Right.
recover.
All right.
Well, speaking of that, I kind of want to go off script just real quick. I'm not going to do this too much. I'm sorry, but how would you guys? What do you guys think of? This question just came up. I can't believe we didn't write it. How do you feel about being able to this is obviously not happening, but how would you feel if you were able to start a fight at a specific phase somehow? Like skip the stuff you already know and practice the stuff that you want to learn.
Is this like the clear overall, or is it just for learning or something?
To clear.
Just for learning purposes, I would
Yeah,
assume.
to learn it and obviously to clear eventually.
I think it would make the fights pretty easy to clear, so I'd expect harder fights if they wanted to do that sort of thing. I don't really mind the fact that, I mean, it's frustrating to wipe like 10 minutes into a 13-minute fight just to learn 30 seconds. But I mean, maybe if they make the fights shorter and maintain difficulty or increase difficulty, it might sort of alleviate that problem.
I wouldn't even know how that would work, because what if, for example, you actually get past a phase, but the things that when you pass, it ends up being a fluke, so you kind of don't really know that actual phase or mechanic, and it's just considered that you went through it, and then afterwards you start learning the other parts. I don't even know how you could implement that in the game.
Fair
That
enough.
makes sense.
Yeah,
I
it makes
get that,
perfect
I get
sense.
I think that would kind of tie into I think what T was saying just a little earlier. Instead of having a really long 13-minute fight, what if things were broken up into smaller fights, kind of thing?
I feel like that would probably also take. I mean, it might sound like it's a little bit easier, to like a whole lot more easier, because it sounds like if you're just gonna go and do a 5-minute fight, all you have to do is learn something that takes 5 minutes to do.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect people would have to do the whole fight in sequence anyway to actually clear it, if that's the case. But I'm not a big fan of the whole like starting in the middle of the fight, because one of the challenges for fights like this, where it's just sort of one thing after the other, is your cooldown management. And because like if you use a cooldown in phase 1, you're not gonna have it for phase 2, especially if you're playing paladin.
That makes sense. No, that's good stuff. Good feedback. Okay, great. All right.
All right.
So the
Do you want me
second
to ask
part,
this
did you ask the
question?
second part of that question, Kane? Did you ask about how do you guys feel
Which-
about crafted weapons?
Oh, no, not yet.
Not there. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. So, do you guys expect your roster to change in any way? New people or job switching? And how do you feel about the crafted items and weapons now that are going to be coming out?
Well, our ninja Tristan is considering switching to monk, and David might be switching to astro. So that's an interesting, kind of thing going on. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think anyone's switching. For people who know me, I'm a summoner for life. So
I don't know if Tristan would even consider doing that, because like ninja, I would feel is still a lot better in raid settings, just because of their utility, and the fact that well, I'm only going astro for like it's because I just like buffs and stuff more, and it's a little bit more challenging. Like white mage, I feel like all you have to do is just heal, and then eventually start chunking stone 3s and stuff. But if our static ninja does end up going monk, I feel like I might as well just go back to white mage, because if he's switching to monk, it's probably for progression reasons. I feel like we don't really, well, we haven't seen the fights yet, so I wouldn't say that we would necessarily need the progression. I can't even talk right now. The progression help, but yeah, if anything, I'm definitely gonna be starting astro first, just because I feel like going from astro to white mage is a lot more easier than going from white mage to astro, just based off of how they're both played. So yeah, but if I feel like if astros would be too hard to for me to play, I'm not even like 100% with astro, but I would try to play it like a white mage. But if it gets to the point where the healing is definitely not there, I would switch back to white mage, and I guess our ninja would definitely probably go try monk or something.
And sort of similar to that, I'd consider switching to Dark Knight if the fight like really forced me to, but I prefer playing Paladin. I think Square's given Paladin enough help that it's viable at least, unless they design fights that are all magic damage or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be. It should be. It says it's easier. I know it's still going to be hard at the start where you don't have the gear help, but if it actually does get a lot harder, then yeah, these changes would definitely be put in, just so we can continue progression and all that. But yeah.
Right. All right. No, that's some good stuff. I look forward to seeing what kind of composition you run for different fights and kind of seeing what kind of fights will come out. And hopefully Square doesn't like make the fights heavily cater to one class or the other, and you can play what you'd like to play. Because it sounds like, for instance, if you, David, Astro is just in general more fun than White Mage.
Yeah.
So you want to play to have fun. So let's keep doing that. Kane, you asked so now we're getting back to the question that I brought up a little early. I'm assuming you guys are going to get whatever crafted pieces you deem necessary, whatever you think is needed to start raiding. In this raid tier, they're going to be adding crafted weapons. Now, how do you feel about those? Those are really the new stuff. I know crafted gear is pretty old hat, but crafted weapons.
I'm fine with it. I mean, it puts the level playing field out there. I mean, the other option, I'm not really sure what other option there would be. Otherwise, people would sort of be on 240, and people who cleared A8, I guess they'd get a little boost. I wouldn't mind that either. I guess it's just their decision. They chose to put crafted weapons. We'll have to see how the eye level of the primal weapons compare, whether they're the same or if they're like 5 or 10 eye levels higher. And that might make a difference in progression strategy for a lot of different groups.
I feel like if we see the crafted weapons, it's gonna look like it's not gonna be really worth it. Because like if it's gonna be the best crafted weapon, I have a feeling like the mats and like the difficulty of crafting it would be pretty up there, and it's gonna be for a weapon that's only 10 eye levels higher than what we have now, and I feel like that kind of weapon will get replaced easily. So I feel like that kind of weapon is just basically only to help you with like actual savage content if you want to do it like the first week or something like that, if the 240s aren't enough. But if it is enough, then I would say the 250s would be unnecessary, especially if the primals is going to be only another 10 eye levels added onto it. I find it pretty, I don't know. Right now, I think it sounds unnecessary, but we haven't actually seen it, so we wouldn't know.
All right, good stuff. Do you kind of feel like it might be not exactly catch-up gear, but there are clearly some people that don't have the 245 weapon, that don't have their anima, and maybe
But they would.
yeah, or they I'm sorry, or they have like their augmented lore weapon, which might not even have the stats that they want. That might you think it might just be an alternative for them to use instead?
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. But like you said, like well, you don't need the 245 from the 88S. It's only a 5 eye level difference, and for all some of the actual lore weapons that augmented, it's actually possibly better than the actual 245 Maiden weapons. So I feel like if you have like everyone should be having it by now, because it's now the latest catch-up patch would give you the upgrade for the weapons, and that alone would probably suffice. Like it honestly depends on like I guess what's needed for the crafted weapons, but I just feel like they're gonna make it really hard and like more expensive and unnecessary. Maybe it's just for glam or something. Who knows?
Glamour, the real end game, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. All right. So we kind of already kind of delved into this, but this kind of question is a little bit generalized because it's rounding out the speculation question phase of our interview. And it's really what kind of changes do you want to see in 3.4 and what kind of stuff should definitely stay the same? And any of you pipe up about what you want to see.
Oh, I definitely want to see
Does it have
better
to be?
looking sceneries. Oh God, I already wrote that for the interview, but honestly, Midas is so freaking ugly. Like, yeah, like I have no idea why they resulted in like putting the raid in that kind of setting. It feels so. It's so unexciting for me. It doesn't feel like anything. The only reason like I probably enjoy it is just because of difficulty, but sometimes it's just like, okay, that's done. Now what? Like I would definitely love to see something that looks so much better, like visually appealing. It's Final Fantasy, man. Like you would think graphics and all that stuff. That's just me though.
Yeah.
So you want to see something more along the lines of coils, essentially, something
Pretty
like
much.
that.
Especially the fights are a lot more exciting as well, because like you said, coils. There's you face Nail, Titania, all that stuff, like all the primals, and then here you're just facing pretty much goblins. I don't even know what they're called, but those things are first off really annoying. Second of all, they're so much harder than the coils itself, so it feels like these things are a lot stronger than Bahamut, which is not true in a sense, but it's there. It's taunting us with its tininess. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that.
I'm really hoping for a fifth fight only in Savage, like an A13 that's not in normal mode, and then some like sick stuff happens where like you're in the middle of Alexander and like you teleport somewhere and there's like giant dragons and shit.
Or because it time travels, it takes you back to coils.
Yeah, I think they could do something really cool with the story. Supposedly the story is supposed to be like amazing this next year, so we'll see, or at least better.
That's what they always say.
All right, and you, Ava, were you starting to say something?
I was going to, but people interrupted me. I'm kidding.
Wow.
Ouch.
Well, there are already some things that I wanted to say. I want something closer to Coil in the sense that I just want a better story. Like, have you seen the story? It's terrible. And I'm sure a lot of people share my sentiments. It's obvious, like honestly terrible. So I know it's not particularly rate related, but it would, I don't know, it would be a nice change.
No, that makes sense. It's some people are in it primarily for the story. We all have our different reasons for rating, and story is a big one, especially of Coil. Coil is an awesome storyline. There's no way around that, really.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we'll move on to our next segment. We're going to be asking more. Well, we've been asking a lot of raid-related questions, but we're really going to dig into your rating questions about how you guys do things. So, Kane, you want to kick that off?
Absolutely, Patrick. So, as the new top dogs, are you guys interested in participating in the slowly but surely growing raid scene on Famfrit?
Without a doubt, yes. What I feel like people don't understand about Famfrit and just rating in general is that it takes a lot of time for people to improve. I mean, everyone on Famfrit, as far as our group goes, it's taken a long time for us to get this far and to, I don't know, get this good, if you want to put it that way. And I feel like if more people had the patience, then we would definitely see the raid scene on Famfrit grow a lot better. Well, bigger, rather. So that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Anyone else got anything else to input?
I mean, along the same lines, it's a lot of work. I mean, I know I was like pretty awful for a long time, and until I started raiding in Gordius. But like, just a lot of like party findering and trapping and like just playing more content, and people I don't know, just need to not be as scared to try. I mean, I know some people are pretty harsh and it's like, 3 wipes and cake or whatever. But with a little patience, I think we could. It'll take some time, as you said, but we'll get there.
All right, so next question. So, what would you guys suggest to new raiders looking to get into a group?
Yep.
Well, a lot of people in our group have said this, I don't know, so many times. I think for new raiders, because in Gordius, I was a new name, and by the end of Gordius, I had pretty decent parses up on FF logs. I think it's a lot about trapping, as funny as it sounds, and also networking. I think networking really helped me because I ended up finding a lot of people in ER, and through ER, I ended up meeting most of my group. So I would also suggest that to people, who would be more experienced but don't really have a raid group. I think since Stanford is so small, it's such a small server, networking is honestly the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Because basically, I guess me and Eva both we're both kind of not really big, and we're definitely we just don't we don't rate us too much because not a lot of people would we don't have a lot of raiders and stuff that time. There was hero, exile, all that stuff. We were definitely not in that kind of skill level or something, or at least we don't think we are. I feel like if you try to learn your class, play well, people are definitely I know act parses is not supposed to be a legit thing, but it's still gonna be used. We definitely need something like that because if there's gonna be people judging healers, judging tanks, there has to be a way to judge DPS. That's how I feel it. But as long as you don't jump people on how they do and how well or how not well they do, then it's no harm in it. But if you see someone that's doing really really exceptionally well, you would want to keep contact with them. And again, that's how networking works. We would see how well you do. If you do really well, we'll definitely compliment you, something like that. Get just honestly just get out there, do stuff, do well, learn your class. Honestly, I know I said that already, but if you learn your class, do it well. Eventually, someone's gonna see, someone's gonna like you. They'll probably invite you to the static or link show or anything like that, and then eventually people would start noticing you, and then maybe get into the raid scene.
And also, hey, let me speak, Kate.
Go ahead.
From my experience, starting off as someone in 3.0 who literally knew nothing about Summoner to, I would say, decently, knowledgeable about the class, I think it really takes a lot of practice as well as, networking, because I was terrible, let's be real. I was 200 DPS and T13 type stuff. It was terrible. But I think if people constantly try to go and trap and keep doing the fight, you're gonna end up picking out things in the fight that you can optimize and do better at. There are some names in Fanford that I've seen that previously they weren't that great, but are starting to really shine now. And I think it all comes back to what I said before, that it really takes time to develop that kind of skill. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and one sort of final thing is just having the right attitude to getting better and be willing to if someone maybe people are in Party Finder trapping, and if say you're in there and you don't have as much experience in the fight, just sort of having an open attitude to improving and picking up pointers or tips or just watching other people play. Even you don't even have to talk with them if you're shy. Though talking helps.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I'm not. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not being interviewed here, but I'd like to pipe in on this echo chamber because what you guys were talking about having parses and logs, like I have a ton of unlisted streams, like videos, recordings for personal use, and occasionally with other members of my raid group if they want to see what happened, and a bunch of like failed logs that are parsed and unlisted on FF logs, only because I want to see what I did, and I want to be able to review that stuff when I'm not actively playing. So there's a lot of hidden potential in these raid tools that people are just not using, and they're not not benefiting from it. And I think that's something a lot of new raiders can pick up on and learn to use.
Definitely, man. That FF logs, like this stuff has like everything like listed for you. Like it shows how like everyone's like casting, what they're casting at what time and all stuff.
Hmm.
Even tells you if you like crit or not. Like even like your healings, all that stuff. Like that. That's definitely something like that can help you improve. Because I would say most of the people who could actually do a good enough DPS are people who at least parsed.
Yeah, and
The
I'm
ones
gonna
that don't, yeah.
no, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the ones that don't parse, they don't really know what they're doing. They just assume that they're just doing really well, and then eventually they just like they keep that I guess that they get used to that kind of rotation, and then in the end it's gonna screw them over because it's actually not really helping them at all. And if you try to tell people to like to maybe like adjust your rotation, like learn like the optimal opener stuff like that, then they would like they probably wouldn't or can't do it because they're just too used to not doing the other way, and they don't see it because they don't have parts or anything. So then they are just like fine, like I'm totally fine with that. But then eventually they want to try Savage raiding, realize that their DPS is not up to par in Savage terms, and then they get really, I would say, uh, not motivated, unmotivated. Eventually, they just end up not doing anything at all, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And then on occasion you get the people who are like, all right, I'll start doing it, and then they become exceptional raiders, hopefully.
But that's kind of like what my situation was. I mean, David and Eva both helped me get better to where I was able to sustain enough DPS and learning new rotations. I mean, it's all in how people will take and interpret the information that is given to them. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it all depends on your attitude, like T had said.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's really great stuff. I want to move to the next question, but one last thing. We phrased it as new raiders, like suggestions for new raiders. A lot of this stuff applies for more experienced, but potentially even static-less raiders. So like, this is really just overall good stuff for everyone. So thank you guys. So that said, Secret Oatmeal is a link shell static. Do you feel like there's a uh, real difference between link shell and free company statics?
Not technically, no. Maybe an attitude sort of thing where if you're all in FC together, it's sort of like a big family, I guess. The only exception was A4 where you had to use an FC buff to actually clear the fight with using a certain strategy. But I think the emotional, it doesn't feel like the right word, but emotional, or like the just the feel of it, of being a group that all works together towards a common goal is the most important thing. Whether you have to be an FC for that, or if you just in an LS, kicking it, having fun with friends.
I think additionally to what T said, I feel like a lot of people in FC Statics are, I don't know, like let's say in our server Rain, for example, you have Ari who pretty much makes everything for everyone. Like I feel like as an LS static, we have to depend on like Ari instead of someone within our group to make us stuff too. I just feel like, oh, you can go.
I was gonna say, yeah, we definitely like most of the stuff that we like use for rating is like it's off of Brain, but off of what Ari has been providing for us. So it like honestly like he's been a great help. But like you said, like in the link show, like we definitely have people who are capable of doing that, but we're just in a link show. Like we don't have like a group where we can like start having people do things and such. We just basically just do what we do, and then yeah, I feel like if we do end up being in like a free company, we would be more independent. But right now, because we're not exactly independent, because we're just a bunch of random people grouped together, we just we don't have the I don't know how to say it, like the mentality to definitely like work on better stuff for us. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't know. I was getting somewhere, but then suddenly I got lost.
All right, well, let me see if I can help you because actually, pretty good question came up in our live chat, and it's great timing because it kind of meshes with the very next question we want to ask, and we'll start with our question first. It's how do you track and manage your schedules for ratings specifically?
So right now, it's challenge sometimes. I do the scheduling myself, and we have a few people who have their work schedules change week to week. So it's luckily enough, everyone else in the static is very flexible with raid days moving around. I know some people don't have that luxury, but now with school starting up, it's getting even tighter to just try and find a couple of raid days, and we really don't even raid more than 2 or 3 times a week during progression. But scheduling is just sort of I keep track of when people are going to be on vacation, or if someone's got an exam coming up, or someone's got so much work and all that sort of stuff. So honestly, I just sort of wing it is the real answer. And I think winging it doesn't work for most groups, but I'm just happy it's worked so far for us.
For now.
Yeah, that's great. No, thank you. That's some neat insight into that. Kind of a follow-up for that is most link shell statics include just a regular full party of 8 people. Does your link shell include backup players as well? And what are rules for players who miss raid for whatever reason?
We don't really have any backup people. If we need a sub, I just sort of reach out to people I know that either they're currently raiding, or it's a little easier now that sort of the patch is winding down. It's hard to get subs when everyone's doing progression. But what was the second part of that?
What are the rules for people who miss raid or for whatever reason?
Oh.
Not even just what rules, but what do you do when that happens? Sorry to cut you off one more time. Like to be more specific, like what do you do, for instance, when holidays come up and you said vacations already, or just personal days, like someone's got a family emergency or whatever? Like what have you guys done in the last raid tier?
So as for sort of going along with just sort of winging the schedule, because everyone's been sort of flexible with it, I can sort of move days around when people have the traveling, vacations, exams, whatever. But I think, especially when it comes to sort of scheduling and just having people in a raid group, a really important thing is just for everyone to be motivated to want to be raiding. I mean, you should be having fun if you're raiding. If you're not having fun, then I'm not really sure what you're doing. But like, so when everyone's sort of motivated to raid, everyone shows up and makes their best effort to raid when they can and really put their best foot forward and make a progress on the fights.
Oh, I was muted. Sorry. Okay. We got a lot of really good natural segues and into like your answer really feeds into this other question because you said if you're not having fun, what are you rating for and keeping people motivated? So, what do you kind of look for? I know we kind of answered this quick already, so it might be a short answer, but what do you look for in other members of your team?
People. I mean, people that want to really play this game, be good at this game. I mean, it's not like you have to play 24/7 to be a raider. Or some people have busier schedules than others. It's just really the attitude. Going back to what I said earlier, if you have a good attitude, and for the most part, you should, be able to improve and come to raid. Be thinking as you raid, because it's not always just easy. Sometimes, especially wiping on fights over and over, it can get frustrating. So, without the right attitude or the right motivation, it's a lot easier to burn out faster, and it's a lot harder to raid when at least one person in your group starts to burn out.
All right, David, Ava, got anything you want to add to that?
Sorry, I actually kind of forgot the question.
David.
Well, like he just started talking, and then afterwards, I kind of yeah. That's the thing.
I get
That's
that.
why
your raid leader talks and you start zoning out. I totally
pretty
understand
much.
that.
Yeah, exactly. He does call outs, and I kind of zone it out, so it works same way.
The question was, what do you look for in other members of your team?
Determination, definitely. Motivation. That's tough, man. Like, because what you call it? I feel like we kind of just, some members of the group kind of strive to go for even more than just clears, and if not everyone's up for that, then it kind of demotivates you, because it's just like, okay, let's just go for this. But if we want to go for I'd say we kind of want more in a sense, and if we could do it, we definitely should do it. But if we don't, then I guess that's fine. We just have to try doing stuff. But I think it's gonna eventually you're gonna get bored of doing just that, and then eventually it's gonna suck if one person just ends up not liking how things are going. So I feel like everyone should be on this kind of on the same page of trying to improve or something.
Right, really good stuff. Ava?
I was actually going to say before David said anything that I thought he summed it up perfectly, but I was wrong because David added some really good insight. I completely agree with both of them. Most of all, what I look for and I guess in that aspect is someone who is patient. He's very patient, because I mess up a lot during grade. So on top of all those qualities they both listed, I think someone with patience is also a really good kind of person I'd want to have in a raid group.
And definitely patient, because I have a really bad tendency of pressing the wrong buttons every time during raid. There's barely any runs I've ever done where I press the buttons correctly 100% of the time. Eventually my fingers are gonna hit 2 buttons at once, and I hit a button I didn't want to hit. Things can get all chaotic. I get panicky. I'm the main healer, so if I panic, everything's gonna go So
it's a good laugh.
That's a very common thing for me. pressing wrong buttons, and the fact that we still made it after all those button mashing, it's something that like it's enjoyable. Basically, it's an enjoyable quality to have.
I think I know exactly one of the things that you probably run into: hitting cleric stance at the wrong time.
God. Stance. While I'm DPSing, I accidentally hit regen, and then I get so upset because first of all, I hit a heal button with cleric stance. Second of all, that wasted my 2.5 second global cooldown I could have used for another stone 3, all that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely sounds like patience is a big one, because like T-Bow said way earlier, it kind of sucks wiping 10 minutes into a 13-minute fight and learning 30 new seconds. So just gotta be patient.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move on to the next one. That was really good stuff. Appreciate it. Kane, you want to go ahead with the next part?
All right. So, did you guys come up with any strategies that deviated from the normal guides and stuff like that? And how did you guys adapt your group play?
Maybe David even want to talk first before I talk.
Why do I want to talk first,
I
too?
don't know.
This is
What do you guys think of the strategies?
They're terrible.
They started off so awful, especially when Eva had some mage LB2 or LB3 and stuff. It's just like,
It's
oh,
terrible.
please. Like, I know we have to go safe and stuff, but I'm pretty sure we can probably make it without. And even if we can't, we should at least find a way before we just straight up go, oh, this just mage LB it.
Honestly, I feel like I had a big T just so I could not LB ads anymore in A6S. It was terrible. I'm so glad we're over that, but these strats, they're
Yeah. A lot of our strats sort of weren't the normal strats. They sort of were based on the traditional guides, like the Solitude guide or Elysium's guides, or I don't know, just other things that I YouTubed and thought looked good. So it sort of becomes a mishmash, and sometimes it's not like the best strategy. And I was talking to David earlier, but I agree with him that when sort of going through prog and learning fights and coming up with strategies, that it's also important to sort of push yourself and come up with better strategies so it doesn't get especially stale. And for example, like with what Eva was saying in A6S with LBing, I mean, honestly, it's faster not to LB for us. We just sort of blow all the ads up, and it's just an overall better strategy. It's very clean, and we get through the fight. So with rating, I guess, and strategy development, it's important to sort of be thinking about your strategies and see like where they fall short. And going forward, that's sort of my plan for the next raid tier and coming up with strategies, especially depending on how fast we progress. Maybe there won't be too many guides out. We'll see how hard the raid tier actually is.
Okay, no, that's really good stuff, because I don't know if people talk about this enough, about how like our question earlier, your team composition, how it affects your strategies and what you can and can't do, or what are the extra tools you can. Like, really, sometimes things that seem really small, like taking a monk for mantra in A8, like instead of for whatever other reasons, like just small things like that. It depends heavily on what your group's comfortable with, and like if you guys had any, well, I guess I'm not going to be asking you guys for like, hey, you got any secrets you want to give us? So I'm not going to be doing that. But yeah, that's good stuff. It's good to hear. All right, you want to move on to the next question then?
Absolutely. So, how do you guys feel about the new cooldown reset on wipes? I mean, I was going to say,
That's
amazing.
I'm looking forward to it a lot.
It's awful, man. Especially Hollow Ground being like an 8-minute cooldown.
It's only 7, David.
No, that's
Only
awesome.
7?
Okay,
Oh,
wow.
boy.
Okay.
It's only 7.
Only 7. Goodbye to all of your timer macros.
Oh god, especially if you use hollow ground and then the whole party wipes. That's like that's awful. I can't. I don't even know why that's not a thing before. Like I read how S Square saying that like we could like abuse that kind of system and stuff, but honestly,
I don't know how.
I don't know. I just feel like it should have been something from the start because oh god, that cooldown awful. And some people don't even like the people who I guess when we try to do progression and stuff, sometimes we're just like let's just go without cooldowns, and that kind of hurts my soul a bit. Like I'm a white mage. There's nothing for me. There's barely any cooldowns for me to use. Just like the presence of mind and stuff like that. But even that is just enough to like tilt me or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how they feel, C and David, but I personally hate waiting like sometimes 3 freaking minutes on Enkindle and Raging Strikes. Like, bring that stuff up immediately. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's cancer being a caster. It's terrible. I hate the cooldowns so much.
So we sound pretty unanimous on it's gonna be awesome. So
Yeah.
So if other people are listening to this, please do not screw this up for us. Do not exploit this stuff. This is amazing for everyone. We want to keep it this way.
Please.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay. So I think this might actually be the most fun part of the questions coming up, because there's really no right answer. This next question, I'd like you guys to tell us about your most memorable single-digit % wipe.
Oh,
Everyone has at least one.
Oh god.
I don't think we ever had that for like when we're actually clearing. Because if that ever did happen, I'm pretty sure the static would be no more by now.
I have one that isn't a 1% wipe, but could have been a 1% wipe, and I would have been really upset. Let me go.
It doesn't need to be 1%, like single digit, even 5% hurts sometimes.
It was almost a wipe, but it was our first A7S clear. We were getting really close. We had never seen that final phase before, which is, I guess, something that happens often with their group because it happened in A as well. David died. And I'm like, oh my god, David died. So, it's like 3% left or something. I still swift cast and raised him. And if it wasn't for that Medica 2 he threw up right after he got raised, I don't think we would have made it. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And David too. Thanks, David.
Sorry for dying. I'm pretty sure for the first 3 to 4 A7S clears, I died. But I remember the last one that I died on, it wasn't even anyone's fault. It's supposed to, it was a healer mechanic where my scholar was supposed to grab a tether. But for some reason, he just stood there and continued hitting broil. I'm just like, what are you doing? There's a mechanic going on right now. Take it from me. I still need to throw my stone 3s too, Eventually, I died. We cleared, but I know it's not even a thing, but that's adding on to what Eva's and my death kind of thing. It was awful.
How about you, T?
This one time I was subbing for a group that's no longer raiding in Gordius in A3S, and they had cleared before, but I was subbing for them, and we had been wiping for a while, and so we got sort of to the end of the fight, and the other tank died, and so A3 there's not really a main tank, so it just swaps back and forth in the final phase. And so he died, and he was supposed to deal with the tank mechanic. So I ran over and grounded, took the tether from the tornado. It was during the tornado phase, or the end tornado phase where there's 3 of them, and I was like tanking the boss at the same time, and it was sort of chaos because the boss was like running across the arena, and then you have to dodge something in the middle of the arena, and everyone was sort of like yelling and screaming in TeamSpeak, and it was like such a mess. But anyway, we ended up, it must have been like 1%. It was really, really, really low, and we ended up wiping because we tried burning the boss, and then a mechanic went out and it like killed most of the team. so it felt really clutch at the time, and then we didn't end up clearing. So I'm still pretty salty.
Didn't we wipe on 1% on J Waves on 8AS?
We did when we were on like week 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
week
like when
two.
we were
Was
like.
it week 2 that was awful?
Yeah, week 2 was first.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this is like not really related to the question, but our week 2 for A7 and A8 were like awful because our week 1s we just got like really lucky, and so as Eve was saying earlier, on A7 we had only seen to like 20%, and then we cleared like after that, and it was like the weirdest thing. And so then our week 2 we had to like work out all the little like things that we didn't know which would like kill us, and so that was pretty brutal. And then week 2 AAS we also just sort of like flew through the last phase in our first clear, and then our second clear we just kept wiping to literally every single mechanic. Like I don't think we wiped it. I think every single thing in A8. I don't think there's a thing we haven't wiped to, and we did like a 5-hour raid day just to like get it clear because we didn't have any more raid days left for the week, and it was like the most tiring thing. Everyone was exhausted at the end of it.
Oh boy.
I think
I know what you're talking about. I think I know how to explain it, where you're like, the first week you clear it because you got lucky, and the second week you're like, the feeling is, we cleared it last week, we should be able to clear it this week too, and we'll be really bummed out if we don't, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to figure that out. I totally understand that, and like sometimes it's just bad weeks. Like I think you were just talking about one where you went 5 hours, and it's like, we just got to do this. I'm in a group where you know, one poll clear 5, 6, 7, and then 1 week like we it took like 5 polls to clear 5, and then we didn't even finish 6 because there were just so many deaths for whatever reason, and problems like people disconnecting as we're about to clear or whatever, and we were just like done for the week. Like we just couldn't take it. So stuff like that happens.
Yeah, we've had some bad weeks and we've had some good weeks.
As long as we get our page at the end. Honestly, if we clear and we don't get a page afterwards, it really hurts my OCD. It's like it keeps track of when I cleared. So if I have 5 pages, I'll be like, yo, I cleared 5 pages. 5 weeks ago, kind of thing. Like we had 1 week where we actually didn't clear 8-8, but that was just because I had to go to Maryland for a cousin's wedding. So yeah, that kind of made me upset. But what can we do now?
Yeah, I hear ya. All right. Well, the next question's kind of rolled into this one. It was question was, what's your most memorable recovery? And for bonus points, aka useless points, if you go on to clear that.
Oh, I got one.
All right.
Okay, so David had 2 instances in A7 where there's group bombs in A7. So David has either south or southeast, west,
Yeah, southeast.
depending on whether a melee gets sizzle beam or whatever. And he ran to the wrong spot, and he ran towards our bard spot. So we had some really clutch call out where I ran all the way southeast. Our bard ended up taking south, and David ended up going to the spot he ran to, and we actually cleared that run.
We did?
Yeah.
That was a good one. I remember that.
Remember, Kate, how I said how bad my sense of direction is? That was part of that. That happened 3 times.
Oh, trust me,
Overall.
I know how bad your sense of direction is. I've known you for, 2 years now, and God, man.
The total
We just have
rock,
to
I
play some more
remember us
for
running
David.
into the wall.
I accepted it.
I can't drive either. I need a GPS. I can't. It's just, I don't know where my north, south, east, and west is. I know where it is if I know where North Point is, but the moment I'm not facing North Point, then I'm kind of screwed. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. To be honest, I actually don't even remember the question again.
All right. Well, That's good. The question was your most memorable recovery. You guys have any others?
Um, the one I said earlier, I think is my most memorable. But we've, I think my favorite in general is just sort of like, when we cleared A7 the first time, it was like everyone was just like super panicked, and then so everyone was panicked at the same time. Everyone else was like, all right, let's just stay calm, don't panic. But everyone was panicking, and everyone was saying don't panic to everyone else. It was like the most fun. It was hilarious. It was great.
All right. Um, our last memorable question is what is your most memorable mechanic? Whether it's good and you liked it, or it's bad and you never want to see it again.
Can I go first again?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I know I think David's gonna say A7S balls, but you wanna know the worst freaking mechanic in the game for us? Learning legislation. And it's sometimes I feel like it's legislation prog because we just keep wiping the freaking balls in A8 and I'm not here for it. I really hate that mechanic.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't say that just because I'm a healer and healers don't deal with that stuff. But A7S balls are, that's what everyone, even the tanks, the DPS, the healers, all have to face. Like, it just comes at the most random times. Like, you feel like you're safe. You start casting an AoE heal. Suddenly a ball starts coming at you. Like, where did this even come from? All that stuff. The balls don't even roll right. Like, why? Like, it just, like, it's supposed to, if it's gonna hit in a certain angle, it should come at a certain angle. But nope, it just hits a certain angle and it starts charging at your healers or something like that. It's, honestly, I'm pretty sure that, we had, like, we spent so much time on E7S just because of the balls.
Yeah, that's definitely my least favorite too. Is the balls just like so many things like so in A7 in the second ball phase, a third ball will drop like halfway through the phase, and sometimes it just like drops directly on the group, and it's like the stupidest thing because then they'll start rolling towards the group and just kill everyone, and because especially when it first starts rolling, it just rolls in a random direction. You don't actually know where it's gonna go, and so definitely my least favorite mechanic.
Can I just
Right, overall, okay? Like, straight up. Okay, I know, but okay, you can go now.
No, you.
No, I was gonna say 87S is a horrible. It's like, it's the worst fight for me. Even FF logs can prove that it's not my fight.
My favorite thing about this entire question is, I don't know, every time one of them wipe to like A7S balls, I can literally hear the pain in their voice and I start laughing so hard because I'm a summoner. So I don't know, I get hit by balls sometimes, but I don't usually die to them. They're not that big of a deal to me because I'm really mobile. But I could just hear the pain in like T's voice, like if he like gets hit by a ball, he dies, and he's like, I don't know, like it's so funny to me. I'm so
Oh, he has this really, I'd say, an optimistic kind of voice. I don't know. It's I don't know how to say it. It's like more, it's joyful. But then there's that one time during A7S where like he just died there. I was just like so monotone. I was just like, dude, what happened to this guy?
Oh man. Yeah.
I'd like to add to that ball, like just getting mad at it, like David, when you were saying it curves, it feels really weird. I'm not gonna lie. One of my unlisted streams that I reviewed because I'm like, that's bull. The ball like targeted me, turned halfway while I was trying to run, and when I reviewed the footage, it was literally just the camera angle and the way I was running. It made it look like it curved, and then it hit me, bounced me into a wall, and then I tried like just immediately running away from it, and it looked like it curved again. So my memory of it was that ball curved the entire time and just targeted me, and then reviewing the footage was RNG just screwed me. That's just what happened.
RNG and lack of physics, because physics apparently do not apply in that game.
Yeah, yeah, and also the ball doesn't have to touch the ball doesn't have to touch you. The shadow is what counts.
I don't even notice that, but
Right.
I just know that if something's coming at me, I either move or I get hit. Like I usually pay attention to like little pixels because sometimes like as a white mage like you don't want to move as often as like I guess you safely could. I kind of like move just the right amount so like you can see like my foot is still in the AoE, but then I would still be fine. But yeah, that ball, like I don't even care about that. Like if I see that ball coming, I start moving like a tenfold away from like where that I was basically, and it kind of hurts because like for me, I always try to make sure I'm casting every single like global cooldown as much as I could. Like if the moment I stop casting things, it hurts it gives me anxieties. But for A7S balls, like I don't cast for the balls and I don't feel anything just because those balls hurt me even more.
So we sound pretty unanimous. We hate balls.
Yeah.
No balls, please.
All right. Well, speaking of dying a lot, Kane, would you like to do the next question?
So, how do you guys stay motivated when you hit a wall, whether it be skill or gear wise? Like, how do you just not say "F it"? I'm gonna go do something else.
Do we ever have that moment?
No, no.
I don't think we have, to be honest. I don't, at least through A5 to A7, there was no gear or skill like wall. We cleared all three of those really soon, quickly, you know, compared to everyone else. A8 might be a different story. Maybe T can say something because I don't know what to say. So go do that for me, thanks.
I mean, I don't really get too unmotivated. I just really enjoy raiding in the first place, so I just have a lot of fun when I'm raiding, so that's how I stay motivated. But I mean, progressing through A8, we sort of made like slow, steady progress um, over the time we were progressing. So it wasn't like we ever hit like a huge wall. Sometimes there's bumps where we're just like couldn't get past the mechanic for a while. But I don't know. I just, at least I like to think that everyone just really wants to clear the fights and stuff, and that's sort of enough motivation to get them past the the wall, so to speak.
For me, not for me, man. I feel like for me, I feel like if we're just gonna keep wiping or something, I'm gonna get like super tired of it. The thing, like for my motivation, it's definitely my FF logs. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Oh God. Cause like, yeah, like I know there's like times where we're kind of close to clearing, but we're still not there yet. And then T would always just be like, okay, everyone play safe. Even like, and then like even our warriors just like, I'm just gonna start pathing. I don't care anymore. I just want to clear. But in my head, I'm just like, I cannot do this. I have to DPS as often as I can. So yeah, my motivation is definitely that fact that I can do what I want still, and nobody's can't. Well, I don't know. Well, they can't really say anything about it, anyways. But they don't. They just don't because it's not a big deal or something.
It's not a big deal.
David's
See, thank
confirmed
you.
for terrible. So evil, David.
I can't help it. I know. I should be healing T, especially when he's like 10% health. But that Stone 3 just needs to be in there. Plus, I believe Hawken would one day, our scholar would just hit that lustrous button or something.
Rip Hawkins.
All right. Well, kind of similar to that question with motivation. How do you guys distribute your loot? Is there anything special you do, or do you do the kind of like normal DPS get weapon upgrades first, and obviously whoever's maining that gets their gear first? Like, is there anything special for that, or is this like a, no, we don't do anything, and this is a 30-second question of mostly me talking and asking it?
Would you like to answer that first?
I mean, I loot master everything to distribute the loot faster, but usually main classes get loot. Depends on the HP checks, damage checks, sort of play by ear for loot.
Yeah, like for example, I think in A8, because when we first started A8, I think the first weapon upgrade went to our Dragoon, but he ended up giving me the second one because I really needed HP to survive the fight, so yeah.
I was gonna ask, but I forgot.
Alright, so yeah, that was a pretty straightforward question. So we're gonna try to wrap it up. We're still within our estimated time, but we're just getting through these questions, and I don't want to wrap it up. And I kind of feel like while we were talking to you, Kane, pipe in if you feel like the same. If you feel the same, there are a bunch of other things that came up, a bunch of other questions. I'm like, oh, I would love to ask him this. But it would take us to 2, 3, maybe even 3 hours, just a really long time, and I really already appreciate how much you've given us. These last few parting questions are like really small things. Like for instance, I'm gonna start with, do you guys make Ava raise first when she plays Summoner?
No. Let me tell you what happens. David doesn't raise. I don't raise. Hawken raises, and you don't know why. I feel like I'm very aware when, especially with healers and stuff like that. So usually when I see someone die and I see that the healers have enough mana and nothing else is going wrong, then they can take care of it. But if I see like the healers are struggling and if my raise can potentially save the fight, then I'll throw it out. And I've done it a few times and it's been successful. But I feel like otherwise, if I were to do it, then it would be more of a DPS loss to me. And I really like my DPS.
Yeah, honestly, I don't like having Eva raise. But the thing is that I can't really raise myself because I'm burning through my mana. White mage mana is horrendous, especially if you're trying to DPS like me. So I kind of like always try to force our scholar to always be the one that's raising. If he can't raise because he doesn't have swift cast or something, I'll make him hard cast it for all I care. But
oh man, your poor scholar.
Well, the thing is that like, if what you call it? Usually when people die, it's also when we're kind of like more than halfway into the fight, and that's when my mana is really like scarce basically, because I try to plan my fight and my rotation based off of my MP and the timing of the fights and stuff. If I see that there's gonna be a downtime, for example, like 8-8, there's intermissions and stuff. Like if there's gonna be downtimes and stuff like that, I can just pretty much burn all of my mana, and then I would be close to 1k mana. I can't even raise with that amount of mana. So then someone dies, I can't do anything about it. And even if I do have the mana to survive, I mean to res, then what now? Like I have no mana to do anything. I'm the main healer. I have to also try to keep T up or the party up or something. So yeah, I just keep a mindset that no one's ever gonna die, and if they do die, that's their fault, and someone can deal with it.
Yep.
Sounds like the main healer to me.
Pretty much. I'm sorry, Eva, if that ends up being you. But I really don't want it to be you, but if Hawken can't do it, I most likely can't do it.
All right. So, do you guys ever plan on selling any type of clears or loot?
I would definitely want that because I like money. But
I'm poor. Can we please sell things?
Yeah, I'd
Yes,
like to. I'm trying to schedule some stuff to sell clears, but yeah, just based on scheduling. So hopefully we can sell some stuff before the next patch drops. Have a little extra spending money.
Just be like, how much is your A8S clear? No, I'm just kidding.
All your guild.
All your guild, all of it.
I I was gonna be like, it could only be that could only be like what 10K, but I remember PJ is a crafter, so definitely has money.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, he's a Omnicrafter, so hit him up for everything he's got. Take his house too.
You know what's kind of funny? One of our parting questions was how annoying were the balls in A7S, but we've clearly answered that question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kane, is there anything else you think we want to add to it, or are we gonna start wrapping this up?
There's nothing really I can think of offhand. I mean, we've pretty much covered everything that we had both anticipated.
Okay, that's good. Well, thank you guys very much for spending time with us, answering our questions, being really awesome, having fun, sounding really happy. You've kept our viewers entertained as well. Um, and if anything comes up, if you want to come back, I'm sure we'll be asking you once in a while. Kane and I have a bunch of topics. We call them Git Good topics that we'd like to talk about with future shows, and we'll probably be asking you if you'd be willing to come on again. Again, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us. This is fun. I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's fun, but I'm definitely not gonna look back past this because I'm gonna be disgusted by my own voice.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who's listening. Kane, this is really awesome. I want to thank you for coming off the idea and pushing me to do it, motivating me. So I'm looking forward to more shows.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for listening to Git Good. And tune in to whenever we decide to have another show. Sorry we don't have time
Absolutely.
yet. All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good
Peace.
night.